be led by Advocate September.
Thank you very much, Ms. September.
Greetings, Chair. Chair, the evidence to be given by this particular witness will refer to two files, one of which is new and the other one is a familiar file. The new file is marked S12 and the old file, or the familiar file rather, is marked Affidavit of Angelo Agrizzi, Exhibit S1, File 2 of 3.
I've got Exhibit S12. I'm not sure about the other one, but I do have a number of files relating to Mr. Agrizzi's evidence here. You said the other one is Exhibit what?
It's a file, Exhibit S1, File 2 of 3. I have made a duplicate copy, if so necessary.
Unless my registrar decided to hide it from me and put it that side, I don't seem to have it. Well, she tells me that they are marked differently from yours.
Okay.
And I thought that that everything had been done to make sure that they are marked similarly. Okay, all right, I've got Exhibit S1, Volume 1 of 2, and Exhibit S2, Volume 2 of 2.
Okay.
Do I only need Volume 1 of 2?
Chair, may I make a suggestion to avoid any further delay? If I could perhaps hand up a copy of the documents which will be referred to, and it ought to have been in your file. It is specifically the documents which is marked AA358.
But if it is Exhibit S1, Volume 1 of 2, everything inside should be the same.
As it pleases.
Yeah.
I have, however, filed.
What is it marked
on
on the spine? Your one. What is it marked?
The file that I've been provided is an affidavit of Angelo Agrizzi.
Yeah, on the
Exhibit
spine.
S1, File 2 of 3.
File 2 of 3. You know, I don't want a duplication of these big live-ash files if we can avoid it. What's the first document on your Exhibit S1, File 1 of 3?
The relevant page numbers, if I may, is marked AA418 until AA555.
Will members of the legal team just check every time that what I've got is exactly the same as what they have got? Yeah, please hand up the one that you were proposing to hand up.
I apologize for the misalignment of pages and bundles.
I think every morning, whoever will be involved in the leading of evidence at one stage or another during the day must just make sure that the documents that I will need or exhibits that I will need when he or she leads a particular witness are there, so that we don't spend time trying to locate them. Okay, all right, okay. I'm hoping that with regard to the liver arch file that you have just handed up, I just hope that the description of what exhibit it is in accordance with whatever existing exhibits we already have, because I understand it to be simply a copy of what we already have. I hope so, otherwise there could be all kinds of questions.
Do you have any objections to taking the prescribed oath? No. Do you consider the oath to be binding on your conscience? Yes. Do you swear that the evidence that you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say so help you God. Help you God.
Thank you.
Chair, just to locate the evidence of this witness, it will be recalled that Angelo Agresti provided evidence to this commission, and in paragraph 35.6 of his statement, which is at page AA074, he informed that Richard Linda Muti, over a period of time, supplied him with various documents that he indicated he had received from either Jackie Lapinka, Lawrence Mkhweri, or Nomtobo Jiva. There were 17 documents that were specifically placed before this commission, and the evidence of this particular witness addresses those documents, and in particular the identification of those documents.
Yes, thank you.
If I may, Advocate Jacob, can I ask you to turn to page 1 of file S12, please? Do you recognize this document?
Maybe she'll recognize it if she goes to the end of this document.
Let me just, you have two files before you. No. The bigger file and the thinner file. Yes. The thinner file is marked S12. Okay. If you can turn to page 1 of that file.
Chair, I'm informed we have a technical problem. Linda,
What's this one's number?
are we okay? Are we okay? Let's check the live stream downstairs. Dow, are we okay?
Is this one supposed to
Dow,
be?
Linda,
What's this one's number supposed to be? The file number. Yeah. Yeah, but we're too far.
One, two. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 1, 2.
One, two, testing the hiss. Can we remove that? Shh. Come on, quickly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Your time is up. How's the live stream, Erin? Technical glitch. The hiss is going down? Okay, alright. Are we done? Are we okay? Hallelujah.
you. You may proceed.
Chair, in an attempt to unbundle the confusion, I understand that you have two files before you, S1 and S2. S1 ends on page 404, and S2 starts then on 405. For purposes of these proceedings, we will be referring to 418 until 555 of S1 and 2. So hopefully that
Okay,
unbundles
I'll look
the
at the
confusion.
pages when you get there.
As it pleases.
Okay.
If I may. Advocate de Kock, is it correct that you are employed with the National Prosecuting Authority as an advocate, and that... Okay.
Please switch on your mic. Yes,
Yes,
thank you. You want to repeat that question and then we get the answer?
Certainly. Advocate de Kock, is it correct that you are employed with the National Prosecuting Authority as an advocate?
Yes.
Is it also correct that your office is situated at the Specialized Commercial Crime Unit in Pretoria, and that you are a prosecutor specializing in commercial crime, including theft, fraud, and corruption?
Yes, Chair.
If I can ask you to turn to page 1 of the file before you, which is marked S12. Do you recognize this document?
Yes. Yes, Chair.
And now can I ask you to turn, of the same bundle, if you can please turn to page 28.
Yes.
Whose signature is that appears at the top of the page?
It's my signature, Chair.
Do you confirm that you had deposed to this affidavit on the 1st of April 2019 at Parkview?
Yes, Chair.
Now, if I can ask you to turn back to page 1.
Yes.
Paragraphs 3 and 4 briefly deals with your qualifications and employment history.
Yes.
Can you please provide details of your qualifications and employment history to the Chair?
Maybe before she does that, you want to ask her to confirm that she has had a look at the affidavit and she confirms the correctness of the contents thereof, just in case we leave out some things.
As it pleases, Chair. Do you confirm the correctness of the affidavit?
Yes, Chair.
Are there any clarifying points that you wish to alert the Chair to?
Yes, Chair, there is something that we need to amend. Paragraph 9, there was an annexure number that's unfortunately been left out of that paragraph. I think the numbers are AA471 to AA472.
Is it correct, however, that your affidavit deals with all the documents that you have identified?
Yes, Chair.
Let's go back to the clarification you were making in regard to paragraph 9. Will you please just repeat what you say was omitted or not correctly represented there?
Yes, Chair. It's just two document numbers that were left out of that paragraph. It's AA471 to AA472.
And it's two documents?
Well,
or
it's
one
one
document with two pages?
2 pages, yes.
Okay, that should have been included in paragraph 9, but was not included.
Yes, Chief. If my
okay.
statement could be amended in that regard, I would appreciate it.
Okay. Arrangements will be made. You can testify to that about that document, and later on a supplementary affidavit will be made to accompany your affidavit.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay.
Will do. Could you then please inform the Chair of your qualifications and employment history?
Yes.
Chair, I obtained the B Juris and LLB degrees from the University of Pretoria. I started studying in 1983. And I obtained both these degrees from the University of Pretoria. And I joined the prosecuting service on the 1st of December 1986. At that time, when I started prosecuting, there was something called 50-50, being a 50-50 student. And for the first year, I actually was not in the courts. I was still studying. So my actual date that I started prosecuting would be the 1st of December 1987.
Well, I was about to ask you, and maybe in part you have clarified this. You say you started studying in 1983.
Yes.
And then you say you joined the prosecuting service on 1 December 1986. Did you start studying in 1993? When you started studying in 1993, was it your BUris degree
Yes,
that you
that's
studying?
correct.
And when did you complete it?
It's a 3 years, three-year degree.
Within 3 years?
yeah.
And then you did your LLB?
I did the LLB after that.
And when did you finish your LLB?
It was in the end of 1987.
Okay, thank you. End of 1987, did you do it in 1 year?
Sorry?
You say you finished your LLB at the end of 1987.
Yeah,
that
it's
would
from
have...
83, 84, 85, 86, and 87.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. No, that's fine. Okay, but you were working, so you were able to
No,
do
no,
all
no.
of them in record time.
No, I did not. Look, I studied full-time.
Oh, but you say in 1986 you joined the
It was
prosecuting service.
Yes, it was a scheme that was in place at that time that allowed you to study 50% of the time and work 50% of the time. Because I studied full-time and I had already done the first year of my LLB degree, they were prepared to grant me a full year's study instead of breaking it up into 2 half-year portions.
1983, 1984, 1985, you were studying full-time and you were doing your BUris degree.
Yes. And then
And you completed it in 1985.
I completed the BUris degree with the LLB, I took 4 years to finalize the BUris degree.
Yes.
But they allowed me to start my LLB degree in the same year as my last year of BUris degree. So I completed the study for both degrees in 5 years' time.
Okay, so you completed your BUris degree in 1980 what? You said
It would
it
be
took
3
you 4 years.
Yeah, there was one subject that I
So that was left.
Yeah.
Okay, otherwise you would have completed it in 1985.
5 years.
Yeah, in 1985.
Yes.
So in 1986, you were doing one course from your BUris degree and LLB courses.
Yeah, and all the LLB courses for that specific year.
Sorry?
And all the LLB subjects for that year.
Yes, no, but I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
And 1983 was your first year
Yeah.
of BUris.
Yeah, 3, 4.
Ordinarily, you would have completed your BUris degree in at the end of 1985.
Exactly.
But that did not happen because there was one course that you still had to do.
Yes, correct.
And you did that one course in 1986 together with various LLB courses.
Yeah, the full complement.
The full complement of
the
LLB courses
yes.
for first year.
Yes.
And then in 1986, you were doing the last courses of LLB.
That would be at 1987. I did the...
1987,
Yes, I did the rest.
Okay, okay. So
Then I got my LLB degree.
then you got your LLB. Okay, all right. Now I understand. Thank you.
Please indicate the different positions that you've held within the NPA.
Well, I was a prosecutor, then I was a regional court prosecutor, then I became a state advocate, Then I became a senior state advocate. Then I became a deputy director of public prosecutions, and my current position is senior deputy of public prosecutions.
Thank you. Paragraph 5 and 6 of your affidavit deals with the Bosasa investigation.
Yes.
Please explain to the Chair what was your role in this investigation.
Initially, the prosecutor in this matter that dealt with the matter was Advocate Linus Breitenbach, and in February 2010, at the request of Advocate Menzi Simelane, she and her prosecuting team withdrew from the case, and at his request, I then became the new prosecutor that had to deal with the Bosasa matter. That was about February, March of 2010.
What were the charges that were being investigated against Bosasa?
We investigated fraud and corruption and offences under the Prevention of Organised Crime Act, Chair.
And when were you removed as prosecutor from the matter?
It was on the 29th of February 2016.
Is it correct that you are in the process of compiling a more comprehensive report which deals with your involvement in the Bosasa investigation?
That's correct.
And is it also correct that this will be made available to the Commission at a later stage?
That's correct.
Will it also deal with the circumstances surrounding the request that you have told me about from Mr. Simelane?
Yes,
that the other prosecutors withdraw from the matter.
I wanted to deal with that as well, Chair.
You will deal with that as well?
I will deal with that.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Is it therefore correct that your evidence today talks specifically to the identification of particular documents which has been placed before you?
Correct?
And such documents are documents which Angelo Agrizzi had placed before the Commission?
Correct?
Having considered the documents that you were provided with, you list various documents in paragraph 9 of your affidavit. Have you grouped or categorized these documents in any particular way?
Yes, I have grouped them. I worked according to a date sequence, and I've grouped them into 4 different groups.
Okay. We can now then turn to, or rather in line with your grouping of the documents, is it correct then that you've grouped the documents as group 1, group 2, group 3, and group 4?
Correct?
Okay. In consideration of the documents which you group as group 1, can I ask you to turn in the same bundle S12 to page 29?
Yes.
And then in the file next to you, can I ask you to then turn to page AA 418.
418. Correct.
Now, if you look at the document before you, which starts on page AA 418, can just take a minute.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. If you look at the document at page AA 418, and you compare it with the document which is attached to your affidavit, which is marked page MCDK 29.
Yes.
Where is MCDK 29? What page, what paginated page number?
So it's page 29 of paragraph of file S12.
Page 29.
Yes, Chair. It's the first document under the first tab, marked 1.
MTK1.
Yes.
It's the reference, if you put MDK, those 2-3 letters together, where I grew up, they meant certain things, and so it's just reminded me of what they meant when I grew up. Otherwise, we can proceed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The document at page 29 of S12 and the document starting at page AA418. Do you recognize the document at page AA418?
Yes, I do.
Is there any difference between the document, these two documents?
Chair, I've read them through, and as far as I'm concerned, there's no difference between the two.
If I can ask you to turn to page 47 of S12, which is your bundle. Okay. And then at the same time, turn to page 435, AA 435.
You know what you can do, Ms. September, because
Yes,
it's quite clear from her affidavit that she has looked at them, is basically to ask her to confirm that she has looked at both that one and that one. You say what they are. She might not have to, we might not have to page through, and she will just confirm that she did have a look, and she will tell us what difference, if any, there is. So in that way also we might be quick.
As it pleases, Chair.
Yeah.
Paragraph 12 of your affidavit talks specifically to a difference between the two documents.
That's correct, Chair.
Can you please inform the Chair as to what exactly that difference is?
Chair, if you look at the document from Mr. Agrizi's bundle, that's number AA435, the next page is AA436. Page AA435 starts with a paragraph that says determining the facts.
Yes.
And in my bundle, which is MCDK 046, the next page is 047. At the top of 047, the words would read, during May 2010, it was reported. Now, that page is missing from Mr. Agrizi's bundle,
Yes.
and his bundle starts on the next page, which would be 048.
Yes.
So it's just that if you look at the two, it's just that that one page should have been inserted in between.
Yes.
And it's not.
But
it's not
other than
available.
that, they are the same? Are they the same?
Except for the missing page,
Yes.
the rest is all the same.
Yeah. Okay.
If I can just take you then to page 56 of your bundle, which appears to be a blank page.
56, yes.
Do you have any comment in relation to this blank page?
Chair, I can just give a little bit of background. This document that I'm referring to that's in my bundle is a document on my computer. And as I drafted the document, some of the, I don't know how it happens. I don't know if I shortened the document or there was an extra page. but the wording confidential appears on additional page. That does not form part of the document that was made available that Mr. Agrizzi testified. Normally, in such a situation where something like this occurs, I would just take the blank page off. But this is just to indicate that mine might be a little bit more complete than the one that you've got in your bundle, but as far as I'm concerned, it's exactly the same document.
The words, the content is the same. It's just the space it has taken in regard to one. It's a shorter space than in regard to the other one.
No, it's not a shorter space. The other one has just got an additional page.
Yes, but that is what I'm trying to say when I say if you've got two documents and the contents are the same, the one is 5 pages, the other one is 6 pages. The one document, the content has taken a shorter space, in the other it might be a longer because it has gone to another page, or it's 3 quarters of the page, whereas in the other one is half of the page or something like that.
Correct.
But the content is the same.
The content is exactly the same.
Yeah, okay.
Except for that one missing page.
Yes, okay.
It is therefore correct that you are in fact the author of this document.
Correct, Chair.
Paragraph 13 of your affidavit talks to the circumstances under which you authored the document. Can you please explain these circumstances to the Chair?
Yes. Chair, if you would look at the at the start of the document, either page AA418 or my corresponding page 029 in my bundle, the first paragraph of that document, page AA418, gives the following information. During October 2011, I received a request to comment on a subpoena ducis tecum that was served on the Special Investigation Unit during February 2011. So the heading also states that the document is dated, the subpoena ducis tecum was dated the 14th of February 2018. I only received this request to comment on the document during October 2011, and my document on AA443, the date is given there, the date that I completed this document was 28 October 2011. I received the request to prepare this opinion from my investigating officer, Colonel Dani Creel, and it was at his request that I prepared it.
Okay.
If I can then just take you quickly to page 54 of your document. At which you conclude.
That is just so that the reader of the transcript won't think it's a document other than Exhibit S12. You're talking about S12.
S12, page 54. Thank you, Chair. On that page, you provide a summary of facts and you reach certain conclusions, correct? If I can ask you to turn to page 55 and read into the record paragraphs 7 and 8, please.
7 and 8. Paragraph 7. The integrity of the judicial process is of high importance. If documents are made available before any criminal trial is finalized, the disclosure itself may create a huge risk of prejudice to the administration of justice. Courts will interpret the Act with fairness to all, and then I refer to compare Brimmer Supra, paragraphs 46 to 47. The reference will be earlier in the document. Paragraph 8. I'm of the view that there are various levels of argument that could be advanced in support of the view that the subpoena amounts to an abuse of the process of court. That was my two last paragraphs in my conclusion.
And this document is dated the 28th of October 2011?
Correct.
And when one compares that page, which is page 55 of S12, to page AA443 of the other bundle of S1,
Yes.
it's similarly dated 28 October 2012 with your details appearing at the bottom. Is that correct?
Correct, Chair.
Thank you. Do you know how these documents found its way into the possession of Angelo Agrizzi?
Chair, I've got no idea.
If we can then turn to Group 2, as you've categorized these documents. Is it correct that these documents, which form part of Group 2, are attached to your affidavit under the second tab, which is MDK2?
Yes, Chair.
If I can then ask you to turn to page 57 of your affidavit, which is S12, page 57.
I've got that.
You will note that there is an email that is filed at that page.
Correct, Chair.
If I can ask you to just read into the record the email that starts at the bottom, which is from Lawrence S. Mkhwebi, sent Thursday, November 1, 2012, at 10:17 a.m. The email being sent to Marshal Mogatle, CC Cholo Fellow P. Moja, and the subject title is Section 205 Subpoena.
Correct, Chair. That is the header information on the email.
Please read that particular email into the record.
It reads, Mhlekazi, with reference to the attached representations, please, as a matter of urgency, can I get a status report on the Bosasa matter, setting out inter alia the charges, possible suspects, evidence against such suspects, anticipated difficulties in the matter, etc. The prosecutor must comment on the representation, specifically saying why it is necessary to go this route and state whether we can be able to defend the matter if challenged and any possible suggestions. In view of the urgency, can I get the prosecutor's report by 10 a.m. on the 2nd of November 2012 so that I can respond to the lawyers regards Advocate L.S. Merwebi, and his information is found on page MCDK 058.
Before we turn to the email of response to that email, can you clarify to the Chair who is Marshal Mogatle?
Chair, he is I'm not sure if he was at that time in an acting position, but he was in an acting position, but currently he is the regional head of the Specialized Commercial Crime Unit in Pretoria. So during this period, he was either in the position of acting regional head or then later as regional head.
And what were the reporting structures between you and Mr. Mogatle?
I report to Mr. Mogatle, and Mr. Mogatle then again reports to Mr. Merwebi, or Advocate Merwebi.
Then if I can ask you to turn to page 59 of the same bundle, S12.
Yes.
There's a letter from Eversheds attorneys dated 31 October 2012, and it's sent by a certain Mr. Brian Bibak.
Correct.
And that signature appears on page 60, which is the next page of the same bundle.
Correct, Jay.
Is it correct that these, or rather, is it correct that these were in fact the representations referred to in the email?
Correct, Jay.
In that instance, can we then move on to, or rather go back to page 57 of S12? And in the middle of the page is noted an email which is sent from Marshal Mogatle on the 1st of November 2012, 10:47 a.m., which is about 30 minutes after the receipt of the email below. And it's sent to you, CCing Cholofelo P. Moja with the same subject title as the previous email and marked importance as high.
Correct, Chair.
Can I ask you to read that email into the record,
It
please?
says, it refers to me by my first name. It says, Dear Mareike, please find the email from Advocate Merwebi, that's actually Mgwebi, for your urgent attention. Please forward your response to me so that I can send it to Advocate Mgwebi. Regards, Marshal Mogatle.
Now, if I can ask you to turn to page 5 of your affidavit, which is in the same bundle S12.
Sorry, page?
Page 5.
5. Correct.
What happened when you received this email that you had just read into the record, calling upon you to provide a response to the representations?
It was received at about 10:17. The original email was dated 10:17, and the one that was sent to me was 30 minutes later. And the instruction was specific that by the next day at 10 a.m. in the morning, I should provide a response to the Eversheds representations. I must say it was very short notice. But I did prepare a document, and it forms part of the bundle.
Can I then ask you to turn to page 62 of the same bundle S12?
Yes?
And what document do you see before you?
Chair, this is the covering letter of the document that I prepared in response to the representations. On the next day, being the 2nd of November, the document is dated just below the logo of the National Prosecuting Authority. It's dated the 2nd of November 2012.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think I didn't hear the page number
So it's page,
correctly. I'm at 52, but I think you must have said another number. Page number.
it's page 62.
62.
Yes, Chair,
Thank you.
of the same bundle S12.
Yes.
Yes, you may proceed, Mr. Cook.
Chair, this is the covering letter that accompanied the document that I prepared in response to the representations. So this document just below the logo of the National Prosecuting Authority, that document is dated the 2nd of November 2012. It is a memorandum. It was signed by Advocate Mogatle, the acting regional head of the SCCU Pretoria, so he was still in the position of acting regional head at the time. What the normal procedure in our office is that if the regional head needs to send out a document, the document goes out under his name, but I would be the one preparing the document. So, in fact, the contents, even though it's his signature on the document, the contents of that document was prepared by me. And in paragraphs 1, just below the subject heading, I referred to the fact that the representation was received on the 31st of October, and your email communication dated the 1st of November 2012. Please find the following. That's obviously now Advocate Mogatle referring to the email that was received from Advocate Mgwebi. And in just below this, in the next paragraph, the one in with the number 1 in brackets, it says, a written response from Advocates De Kock and Janssen van Rensburg setting out the legal position and their views on the merits of the representation, Annexure A. That Annexure A refers to my response to the representations that was prepared. So that then that was my response was then attached to this memo as the answer to the representations.
And your response is the one at 64?
No, I'll just...
No, Chair.
That's not the one. Is
No,
that the one that we dealt with earlier?
Not yet.
Not
Chair.
yet. Oh, okay.
If I may. So the Annexure A that you referred to in paragraph 1, subparagraph 1 on page 62.
Yes?
Can I ask you to turn to page 67
I've
of
got
the
that.
same bundle?
I've got that.
Okay. And that document in your bundle runs until page 93. Is that correct?
Correct?
Is this the Annexure A that you in fact refer to in paragraph 1, subsection 1 of your document at 62, page 62?
Chair, if I can explain,
Please do.
the document that you have in my bundle is the documents still to be found on my computer. So this was not the one that was sent, but the contents again is identical to the one that was sent, except for the last 2 pages in my bundle being page 92 and 93 being 2 blank pages. The same situation. I don't know why, if I print it on my computer, 2 additional blank pages appear.
Happen, yeah.
But in content, I've referred to the, I've read through the document and I confirm that the contents of the 2 documents, the one in my file and the one in Mr. Agrizi's exhibits, that they correspond.
I'll take you to that right
Yeah.
now. While holding on in S12 on page 62 and holding on to page 67, the one being a memorandum, the other one being Annexure A, can I first take you to page, in the Agrizi documents, page 471,
471.
and compare that to the document, sorry, in your bundle at page 62.
I've got them both with me.
What is your observation in relation to these 2 documents?
Except that the one in Mr. Agrizi's exhibit AA471 appears to be darker in appearance than my document. The contents is the same.
And then can I ask you to, while holding on to page 67 in S12, which is your bundle,
67.
and that is the document marked Annexure A,
Yeah.
if you can compare that to page 445 of the Agrizi bundle.
4,
So in the Agrizi bundle,
What
it's
page?
AA445.
445. Yes.
And that's as compared to page 67 of the witnesses bundle. Both of these documents being marked Annexure A.
Yes.
What's your observation in relation to these 2 comparative documents?
Chair, I've collated the 2 documents before I prepared my affidavit. I carefully read through the documents, and they start on this start the same place, and they end. This specific page ends with the words "this section is." Both of them end with that word. As far as I'm concerned, this particular page of the 2 is identical, and I've also done that with the rest of the pages. But I presume we will go through that.
Yeah.
Paragraph 19 of your affidavit, which is on page 5,
Well, maybe before you go there, because I'm still wondering what the relevance of the memo at page 64 of Exhibit S12 to your memo at 62.
Chair, if I can explain.
Yeah, because otherwise it's confusing me.
Yes.
It comes immediately after your memo, but
Yeah.
the actual annexure to which you refer in the memo at 62 is behind it, comes after it.
Perhaps I can explain it in this
Yeah.
way. During this time, I was regularly requested to report on the Bosasa matter.
Yes.
So the memo, the representations that I had to respond to,
You respond by way of Annexure A.
I did respond by way of Annexure A, and that document is dated the 2nd of November 2012.
Yes.
So the next reporting period would have been the end of November.
Yes.
And at that time, when I had to respond, in the meantime, I received word that the representation was turned down. So in my report dated the 26th of November 2012, I refer, as part of my regular reporting, I refer to the fact that the representations had been turned down. So that is the relevance. The 2 November document attaches my response, and the 26 November 2012 document is the outcome of that representation.
In paragraph 3, I don't know if it's supposed to be read as paragraph 1, subparagraph 3.
Yeah,
At the bottom of page 62.
I've got that.
That last sentence goes up to page 63, and it refers to a report marked Annexure B. That's not the document that comes immediately after the document at pages 62 and 63. I
No.
don't see that it is marked B.
No, I'm sorry, I haven't searched for B.
Yes. Well, am I right to think that in your memo appearing at page 62, you make no reference to the progress report that comes immediately after that memo?
Sorry, Chair.
Am I right to think that in your memo at page 62,
Yes.
you make no reference to the progress report that comes immediately after that memo?
No, because it was still, it didn't exist at that time.
Yes,
the
then-
second document only came into existence on the 26th of November 2012.
In other words, that memo could not have been attached, or that progress report could not have been attached to the memo at page 62.
No, it's just a later
It's
report.
Annexure A, or was Annexure A attached to the memo at 62?
Yes, correct.
So therefore, the progress report is wrongly located there, isn't it? It shouldn't come between Annexure A and the memo at page 62.
Technically speaking, correct, because it's out of sequence.
Yes, it's out of sequence, so it causes confusion.
Yes,
You see, because your memo does refer to Annexure A.
yes,
And if you see the reference to Annexure A, you immediately want to look at the document that is attached to the memo. And when you go there, you find another document.
sorry, Chair.
You find a document which is not marked Annexure A. You might think, well, maybe they forgot to mark it Annexure A, but it is the document, and you read it. And so you could easily say, in a document that was referred to as Annexure A, this is what was said, but actually that would be incorrect because that document did not exist at that time.
Sorry, Chair. We should have placed it. Technically speaking, we should have placed it around about page MCDK 94. That would have been in the correct chronology.
Yeah.
The idea was to group the documents together that came into existence during November 2012.
Yeah, but the idea ought also to have been that an annexure to a document should come immediately after that document.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know what can be done to make sure months later, when one reads here, one doesn't get confused. Ms. September, you can think about that in terms of what can be done. Otherwise, if one doesn't look at the date on the progress report, one could easily think that's the annexure referred to in the memorandum at page 62, when in fact that's not correct.
As it pleases, Chair. Will do.
Otherwise, maybe what could be done is that it could be taken out, the progress report, from where it is, and in order not to disturb the sequence of the pagination, the numbering, 3 blank pages could be put in there that would be given those page numbers, and then this one be placed in the right place and be given some page number that would make it different. Otherwise it gets confusing. I hope it is the only one that is in the wrong place.
It appears to be, Chair, but we'll certainly clarify and explain it in a supplementary, and then insert the necessary blank pages for insertion of these pages after Annex J.
Okay, thank you.
If, having dealt with the progress report then, at page 64 of your affidavit,
Yes.
can I ask you just to read the first 2 sentences under background?
That's on page 64.
Yes, please.
The SAPS investigation commenced during February 2010. The full background to the SAPS investigation is set out in a 75-page report prepared by the Special Investigation Unit and attached here to as Annexure A.
And the next sentence as well, please.
The SIU investigation resulted from various allegations that surfaced in the media relating to the irregular awarding of contracts by the Department of Correctional Services, in brackets DCS, to Bosasa Operations Pty Limited, in brackets Bosasa.
And then can I ask you to turn the page to page 65?
Before you turn the page, you see that second sentence of the progress report that refers to Annexure A attached thereto. It creates more problems because Annexure A is something else and not the report. So, but when you correct it, then it will help. But I'm just pointing out that it exacerbates the problem.
Chair, this particular document, excluding Annexure A, is a document that found its way into the possession of Angelo Agrizzi.
Mr. Angelo Agrizzi.
Mr. Angelo Agrizzi.
Yes.
And for purposes of this particular witness, she was provided with the documents, the 17 documents, that Mr. Angelo Agrizzi had placed before the Commission. This document in particular, not necessarily attaching the Annexure A referred to in here, is the document that she has identified, which is synonymous to the documents found into the possession of Mr. Angelo Agrizzi.
No, I understand. I think what you're talking about is the fact that the document doesn't itself, that the SIU report is not attached to that document. That I understand.
Yes,
I'm simply saying because immediately behind that document there is a document marked Annexure A, it could cause problems, but the fact that you are going to remove it from where it is, that should take care of the problem.
Thank you for the clarity, Chair. If I can then ask you to turn the page, which is page 65,
Yes.
and for the record, in the second paragraph, the 9th line, at the end of the line, the sentence begins with "we informed."
Yes.
Can I ask you to read that until the end of the paragraph into the record, please?
We informed the Special Director that the Eversheds letter amounted to an irregular attempt to review the issuing of the subpoenas, avoid the required court appearance by the witnesses, and mislead the NPA as to the true facts concerning the legal process. The Special Director informed Brian Biebuck that the application to the magistrate for the issuance of the subpoena was well considered and that the activities related to a lawful investigative process. He declined to withdraw the subpoenas, stating that such behavior would amount to an unlawful review of the decision of the issuing magistrate.
And then lastly, on page 66, can you read the paragraph under the heading "Other Issues" into the record, please?
Yes. I'll read. I am not yet in a position to specify the proposed charges against the suspects. The investigation is still in progress and I cannot give a summary of the nature and quality of the current and still to be obtained evidence, except to say that we do not anticipate it to be challenged on any known grounds. No legal issues and/or challenges other than the court proceedings mentioned above have been brought to our attention. We will have more clarity on the issuing of the Section 205 subpoenas on the 14th of February 2013.
And this document is dated 26 November 2012. Is that correct?
Yes.
If I can ask you to turn to page 6 of your affidavit.
Yes, I've got page 6.
Paragraph 22 talks specifically to Annexure A. Can I ask you to please explain paragraph 22 and any other differences in the Annexure A comparative documents to the Chair, please?
I just want to go to Mr. Agrizi's document A461.
That would be found on page 445 of the Agrizi document.
445.
But you want us to go to A461 or not really?
No, Chair. The witness is specifically referring now to Annexure A as compared between the document that had found itself into the possession of Mr. Angelo Agrizi and her document.
Yes, okay.
So the comparison in references is page AA445 in the Agrizi documents and page 67 in the witnesses bundle.
Thank you. Didn't you mention page A461, Mr. Cook?
Yes, Chair. I think there's a
line drawn there on the margin.
Yeah, the correct page number, the document that I was referring to was 461 and AA 465. That's where you find the vertical lines next to the specific paragraphs.
But those pages are part of the document that starts at page 88445 in Exhibit S2, isn't it?
Yes, that's in Mr. Agrizi's bundle.
Yes.
The only thing I wanted to point out is that at the time when we transmitted the document that is this Annexure A,
Yeah.
the memorandum containing the representations.
Yes.
When that was submitted to Advocate Marwebi,
Yes.
Mrwebi,
Yes.
the document was submitted in a clean format.
Yes.
I didn't make any notes in the margins.
Yes.
So he would have received a clean copy. And
Yes.
after that time, and I don't know who
Yes.
made the notes,
Yes.
someone was interested in, on page AA465, to a paragraph with the reference dirty money, and made a vertical
A line. there,
line
through a
next
line.
to that paragraph, to me indicating that that person drew his own attention to the
Yeah.
contents of that specific paragraph. I just want to point out that I wasn't the author of that line.
Yes.
I didn't, the document was supposed to have reached him and did reach him in a clean condition.
Yes, and you want to make the same remark in regard to the top paragraph at page 461 in Exhibit S2. That is Mr.
Exactly,
Agri's document.
exactly, Chair.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know how these documents found its way into the possession of Mr. Angelo Agrizzi?
No, Chair.
If we can then turn to page 8 of your affidavit,
Yes,
which deals with the third, or rather group 3 of your documents.
yes.
If you look at the Agrizzi documents, which is marked AA 482,
Yeah,
and you compare that document to the document that forms part of your bundle, which is page 99.
I've got both pages in front of me.
What is your observation in relation to these two documents?
Chair, both these pages are also again identical, except that the one that's in Mr. Agrizzi's bundle is slightly darker than the one that's in my bundle.
Yes.
That might have been due to photocopying. I don't know what caused this document to have a darker appearance.
Yeah. But the content
The contents is exactly,
is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
If I can then ask you to turn to page 94 of your bundle
94, yeah.
and identify what is this document.
Chair, you would see that the date on those two documents, the date on the document numbered 99 and the date on the document numbered 94, both of them have got the date the 30th of April 2013. What
Yes.
happened is this document with the number MCDK 094 was the document that I prepared. But my typing isn't so great, so the formatting wasn't, I wasn't happy with the formatting. So
Yes.
Mrs. Moya is the secretary of Advocate Mahakala, and she always assists me if I need to transfer a document onto the office letterhead. So I presume that I think there is an email, but I sent the document to her with the request that she transfers the information onto a new letterhead and fix the formatting for me, which she did. So the document that corresponds with the exhibit found in Mr. Agrizzi's file is my document 9900 and 101, whilst this document that's numbered 94, 95, 96, and 97, as well as the words SECU Pretoria on the top of page 98, that was, the contents is exactly the same. It might have been, say, 30 minutes apart, and then this information was transferred onto the document in my bundle marked 9900 and 101, and in Mr. Agrizzi's file AA482, AA483, and AA484.
You referred to Mr. Moya, or Miss Moya, or Mrs. Moya, who
Yes.
typed for you.
That's correct.
I think earlier on we came across a name that I would pronounce as Moja.
Sorry.
Is that the same person?
Yes.
It's the
yes,
same person?
Yes, Chair, it's exactly the same person.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Uh,
M-O-J-A.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Chair, if I can just explain. In our office, when I send a document to the regional head, the secretary would then, in many instances, just be copied on the communications because she must also be informed of what's going on in the office.
Okay.
So that's why her name appears on some of these documents.
Okay, thank you.
So just to then clarify, whose PA, personal assistant, assisted you to format your original document?
It's Advocate Mahakala's personal assistant, Ms. Moja.
And to whom did Mr. Mahakala report to at the time?
To Advocate Mahwebi.
Thank you. If I can ask you to turn to page 99.
Yes.
In the second paragraph, can I ask you to read that paragraph into the record, please?
The full paragraph.
Yes.
The one that says the prosecution of Patrick O'Connell Gillingham.
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm reporting to, or actually I've drafted the document, and now Advocate Mugate, on my behalf, is reporting to Advocate Marwebi by transmitting the document, but the contents reads as follows. I am busy working on a draft charge sheet in respect of Patrick O'Connell Gillingham. The proposed charges against him involve corruption, money laundering and fraud. It is alleged that POC Gillingham received corrupt benefits in the amount of approximately 3.6 million. These benefits consisted of both movable and immovable property. It is important to notice the sequence of payments, as this gives an indication of the nature of the corrupt relationship that existed between Gillingham and individuals related to the Bosasa group of companies. I attach an extract from the draft charge sheet with highlighted dates and events in brackets. Compare Annexure A. During the period 2004, 2005, 2006 and 2007, Patrick Gillingham received a stream of benefits at very regular intervals.
Before we deal with that particular draft charge sheet, can you please just explain to the Chair the circumstances under which you prepared this document? You give detail to it, in fact, at paragraph 26 of your affidavit, which is at page 8 and 27.
Yes, paragraph 26 is what I've just tried to explain to the Chair, that I had a draft document, that was then transferred onto a second document prepared by Ms. Moja on my behalf, and that second document is the same one as the Court's Exhibit AA 482, 483, and 484. And then in paragraph 27, Exhibit AA 482 to AA 484 resulted from a request to prepare a progress report on the Bosasa investigation. An earlier response appears to have been insufficient, and I received a request for more information and a detailed report in respect of the Bosasa investigation. And then I give the CAS number of that docket. It is Pretoria Central CAS 1556/02, referring to February 2010, and in brackets compare paragraph 1 of Exhibit AA 482.
And then, please, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Paragraph 29 of your affidavit addresses the need for the charge sheet. Can you please explain that to the Chair?
Yeah, could I just go back to explain this paragraph that says in response to the request for more information and a detailed report in respect of the progress with the investigation.
What paragraph number is that?
That's on AA482 under the heading Introduction.
482.
AA482
Yes.
under the heading Introduction.
Yes.
I write there, remember this is now,
This is now in Exhibit S2.
yes,
Yes.
it refers, I start it's a progress report on the Bisosa investigation. So what I'm indicating there is that at some time before this date of the 30th of April, probably very shortly before this time, I prepared a different memorandum. And the person that received that memorandum was not happy with the contents or wanted more information. So I start my memo by saying, in response to the request for more information and a detailed report in respect of the progress with the investigation of Pretoria Central CAS 1556 of 2010, I wish to report as follows. And then I'm now giving more info. I'm trying to provide more information.
Now, and you may have explained this before, I see that memo is addressed to Advocate Mkhwebi, but at the end it purports to come from you. Was it one that was still to be put onto Mr. Mokhatle's name with you having prepared it, or was it going to go to Mr. Mkhwebi under your name?
Chair, this happened in 2013.
Yes.
But all I can say is if you look at the, it indicates that it's a report from myself and a report from Advocate van Rensburg. So, and I think we've got the attachment.
Of course, you understand why I'm asking, because yes, earlier on you said you were reporting to Mr. Mokhatle and you would prepare a document and he would, it would be given to him and he would then put it in his name and then send it to Mr. Mkhwebi. So, yeah, but this one is different.
I can't remember why this is the odd one out.
Okay.
Is it correct that the document, which is at page 99, titled Progress Report on the Bosasa Investigation, dated 30th of April 2013, addressed to Advocate Mkhwebi under your unsigned name?
Yes.
Together with the charge sheet and a document which is marked preamble, found its way into the possession of Mr. Angelo Agrizzi?
That's correct.
If I can ask you to turn to page 102
You've got that.
Of your bundle, yes, which is S12, that is then marked in Tramline's charge sheet.
Correct.
There's quite a bit of red print.
Yes.
In the document itself. Did you have a reason for marking things in different colors? Because on page 109 at the bottom, you have blue writing.
Chair, I can explain the way I worked. At the Specialized Commercial Crime Unit, one of the principles with which we work is something called prosecutor-guided investigations. Now, the purpose of that would be that because we, from the beginning, realized that this would be an investigation with a huge magnitude. The idea is that whilst the investigating officer is doing his investigation independent of the prosecution, I would guide the investigation and I would give instructions as we go along. But in the meantime, I would also, if it is possible for me to start drafting a charge sheet, I will start with a working document. And then as the investigation progress, I would work on that document. I might completely change it or alter it later on. But the idea is that when the investigation is finished, the charge sheet would also be finished at the same time, so that you don't waste time after the case docket has been presented to you as a complete investigation, that you then don't waste time starting to draft the charge sheet. So at this point in time, the red information that's found or the red information typed in red would indicate that I wasn't completely happy with the document. When I became,
so the different colors sought to draw your attention to certain specific things of interest to you. One might be you are still going to reflect whether that information is fine, and maybe for another color it could be another reason.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
yes.
The different colors had different meanings to you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. If I can then ask you to turn to page 108
Yes.
of your documents.
Yes.
At the bottom is noted General Preamble.
Yes.
Can you explain to the Chair how this document would have evolved when talking to the charge sheet preceding the General Preamble in the document that you've attached to your affidavit?
Chair, I really can't remember everything, but it is possible that this is an extract. So it's possible that the part that says General Preamble, I might have taken it from a different document. And this was a copy and paste situation. So I started drafting the charge sheet, and I got to the count 6 on page 108, and then I could have, I'm purely speculating, I could have pasted this General Preamble. If the court, if the Chair will just...
I'm sorry, I'm behind the two of you, so I'll catch up with you just now. But let's go back to the charge sheet at page 102. You see, I note that it is marked Annexure A at the top. Is that the same with your page there, page 102 as well?
Yeah, mine is also, I seem to have a habit of marking everything Annexure A.
Well, that's what I'm concerned about. In the memo which precedes the charge sheet, do you make a reference to Annexure A or to the charge sheet?
Yeah.
Is there something that says I attach the charge sheet, or is there nothing that says that?
The word says on page, Mr. Agrizi's page AA482, it says, I attach an extract from the draft charge sheet with highlighted dates and events, in brackets, compare Annexure A. So...
you are now reading at S2?
Yes, on AA...
On what page?
482.
482.
The same document is reflected in her bundle, also at page 99,
Yeah.
which is few pages just before the charge sheet.
Yeah, let's see.
And the paragraph she refers to is in paragraph 1.2, fourth line from the bottom.
Yes, so there under paragraph 1.2 you say, I'm busy working on a draft charge sheet.
Yeah.
The charge sheet to which you refer there is the one at page 102.
Actually,
is that
no,
right?
Yeah, in part it's true, because the charge sheet would have been more comprehensive. The document that's attached, I described that in the fourth line from the bottom as I attach an extract from the draft charge sheet with highlighted dates and events. So,
Okay.
so this document that's before the commission wasn't a full document.
Yes.
It was only an extract from an existing
Yes.
document, or perhaps two documents that are combined.
Okay, so in the document at page 99, you only say you are working on a draft charge sheet without attaching the whole draft charge sheet, but you do attach an extract from the draft charge sheet. Is that right? I think I see later in your paragraph, you say I attach an extract from the draft charge sheet.
Correct,
with
Chair.
highlighted dates and events.
It's this document.
That it is this one.
Yeah.
It's just that, there it says compare Annexure A. Is that a reference to Annexure A at the top of the charge sheet at page 102?
Yes, that's correct, Chair.
Okay, all right.
I can perhaps just I'm familiar with the documents, but I can just perhaps point out a few things about this document that will illustrate the fact that it's an extract.
No. You don't have to prove that
Okay.
it's an extract. I'm just worried that we shouldn't have the same situation as we had with the other Annexure A. So I'm just checking. But here, because there's a reference to Annexure A, and the charge sheet comes immediately after this document at page 99, it should be fine. I was looking for a reference, whether there's a reference to Annexure A, so there is a reference, and that solves my worry.
Thanks,
okay.
Chair.
All right. Okay. But the two of you were already dealing with a certain document, and I needed to catch up with you. Which document was that? Or
Chair,
what pages?
I was just taking the witness to the actual charge sheet
Yes.
in her bundle, which is at page 102.
102. Thank you.
And
That's the same document we have just talked about.
Correct, Chair.
Okay. Yes.
Now, if I ask you to look at page 102, which is the charge sheet, the first page of the charge sheet in your bundle,
Yes.
and compare it to the Agrizzi bundle, page AA 494.
494. I've got that.
Are there any differences between the charge sheet at page 494, which runs until page 500, as compared to your document, which starts at 102?
There is a slight difference,
Yes.
but I think we must just go back a few pages to page 486.
Yes.
Page AA
486.
486. Yes.
Chair, if you compare my document, which is MCDK 102,
Yes.
the document starts with a heading that says Annexure A, and it immediately refers to the charge sheet.
Yes.
And then a little bit further on page MCDK 108, there's a heading that says General Preamble.
Yes.
And then it starts with paragraph 2 and and then just below it, movable property, and paragraph 2.16.
Yes.
Now, on my computer, this is the sequence. The
Yeah.
charge sheet part is first, and then the general preamble part is part of the same document, and it starts on page 108. But in Mr. Agrizzi's bundle, you have the same documents, except that I seem to have split them into into two parts. On page AA 486, you have the part that says general preamble, and then the charge sheet part starts on AA 494. But I have compared the contents of my document that starts 102 and ends at 116, and the contents is exactly the same as Mr. Agrizi's document that starts on AA 486 and ends at page 500.
Yes.
Even though the sequence
Is not the same.
is not the same.
Do you recall whether when you sent the document to whoever you were sending it to, the sequence was the same as we find in your document starting at page 102 in your bundle, or the sequence was the same as we find in the same document in Mr. Agrizi's bundle AA starting at AA 486?
Chair, I would, the documents also have one other difference. The document in Mr. Agrizi's bundle has got a heading that says draft charge sheet, POC Gillingham, and the date the 30th of April 2013. Generally, if I draft a charge sheet, the preamble would be the first part, and the charge sheet would be the second part. So I would accept, even though I don't have proof that I have at this point provided to the Commission, that the document as found in Mr. Agrizi, presented by Mr. Agrizi, is the correct sequence with the correct date.
Okay. So, and it might have come, the one with that sequence might have been a later version of the document appearing starting at page 102 in your bundle.
Yes, Chair.
Okay. Thank you.
And it's correct then that the charge sheet together with the preamble, which was enclosed with the progress report on the Bosasa investigation, was prepared for Advocate Al-Mkhwebi, as reflected on page 99 of your bundle.
Yeah, that is correct. We always reported on matters of this nature, we reported to the Special Director.
Thank you. Do you know how these documents found its way into the possession of Mr. Angelo Agrizi?
No, Chair.
If we can then turn to page 10 of your affidavit.
Got that?
Well, maybe before we proceed, Mr. Cook, we would like to proceed. It's 4 o'clock, more or less. We would like to proceed and try and see if we can finish with your evidence. Is that fine with you?
I would appreciate it, Chair.
You would appreciate it?
Yes.
Okay. That's fine with you?
In your hands, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's try and continue and see if we can finish by 5. Thank you.
Page 10 of your affidavit,
Yes, I've got that.
paragraphs 33.
Or maybe we should take a short comfort break and then continue. Let's say we resume at 4:10. Is that fine?
Guided by your direction, Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, let's take a short comfort break. We'll resume at 4:10. We adjourn. Yes, Ms. September. Yes.
So sorry.
Yes.
Apologies.
With group 4.
Group 4, which is the last group of documents.
Yes.
At paragraph 34, you make reference to a particular email. Can I ask you to turn to page 117 of your bundle, please?
Got that?
Is that the email that you refer to in paragraph 34?
Correct.
Of your affidavit? Thank you. The email, which is at page 117 of your bundle, marked S12, is from yourself?
I'm sorry. In paragraph 34, paragraph 34 doesn't identify that email other than the fact that it says it was sent on 8 August 2013, and I think there's a reference to confidential. Am I right to say paragraph 34 doesn't tell me where I will find that email?
Paragraph 34 does not expressly refer to page 117.
Yes, so that's not helpful. I think what you should do when you prepare a supplementary affidavit for Mr. Cook, have a look at all things such as those, so that when one comes to a particular paragraph, one knows where to find what is referred to in that paragraph. For example, if that paragraph had a reference that said that email is found at page 117 or is marked MDK4 or something, that would guide me. There might be a number of emails that bear the date 8 August 2013, I don't know. It will just facilitate when one reads. If there's a reference to some other document, that one should have something that indicates how one will find or where one will find that document, or how one will identify it or recognize it.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Advocate de Kock, at page 117 of your bundle,
Yes.
do you recognize this email?
Yes, Chair.
Who is the author of this email?
It was sent from me.
And to whom was this email sent?
I sent it to Advocate Mahakala.
And when was this email sent?
It was sent on the 8th of August 2013, according to that email, on 01:46 p.m.
And what is the subject title of this email?
The subject title is Confidential Email, Bosasa, Gillingham, Mti and others, racketeering documents.
And there appears to be referencing to attachments.
Yes.
For the record, can you please identify, or rather read into the record, the description of the attachments, please?
Yes. The description of the attachment gives 3 separate attachments, the first one being Proposed Racketeering Memorandum, Bosasa and others, 8 August 2013, doc. The second one, Provisional Draft Charge Sheet, Bosasa, Racketeering doc. And the third one being Provisional List of 149 Racketeering Activities, POC and LMT doc. These indicates that it's 3 Word documents that were attached to that confidential email that I sent off to Advocate Mahakala on the 8th of August 2013.
Thank you. And then for the record, can you please read the contents of this email into the record?
The email is addressed to Advocate Mogatle. It says, Dear Advocate Mogatle, and in bold, confidential documents as requested by the ANDPP, that's an abbreviation of the Acting National Director of Public Prosecutions. Attached, please find a proposed draft racketeering memorandum, comma, a preliminary and draft charge sheet in brackets, subject to evidence that is still outstanding, such as the forensic audit report and electronic evidence, as well as other statements that could have an impact on the wording of the proposed charge sheet, comma, the list of 149 racketeering activities in brackets, incomplete and subject to further amendments, close the brackets, as well as a provisional draft charge sheet with, in brackets, 10 counts only. The final draft charge sheet may differ substantially from the proposed draft. That's the first paragraph. The second paragraph, the concerns about security of these documents have been raised with yourself earlier this week and will thus not be repeated in this email. This comment is addressed to Advocate Mogatle. And then the third paragraph, it is anticipated that the list of racketeering activities may double should the Bosasa and associated activities be added to the current present list of activities. The fourth paragraph there, kindly be informed that the investigation is still in progress and that potentially critical information must still be added to the documents that is submitted to you under cover of this email. Best regards, Advocate M.C. de Kock.
Thank you. You note in this email specifically that the concerns about the security of these documents have been raised with yourself earlier this week, such being addressed to Mr. Mogatle.
Yes,
sorry for the interruption of word. What concerns about the security of documents did you have and why?
Chair, at some time before this date, my investigating officer informed me that the documents that we are preparing, like the progress reports that I've referred to earlier, that those documents are being leaked. So I had a meeting with my investigating officer. I said to him, there were two of them, the ACTT investigator, Colonel Creel, and there was, I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but from my recollection of the time period when this occurred, there would also have been Brigadier Simon. Colonel Smith might also have been on the team at that point, but my recollection is that it wasn't one of them, that we were at least three in the meeting. So I said to them, look, who of you two are busy leaking our documents? Because it's not me. And they said, it's not us either. So I said, well, then who's leaking it? They said, we can't tell you. I said, now how are we going to address this problem? Because it could be very detrimental to the prosecution and the investigation of the matter, seeing that the investigation is still in progress. How are we going to resolve this issue? And the conclusion was that because we did not know who was leaking our documents, that we couldn't do nothing about this.
So when they said we can't tell you, they meant that they didn't know, not that they knew but could not tell you.
No, it meant that they didn't know.
They didn't know.
They knew it was leaked, but they couldn't pinpoint the person or persons that were busy leaking our documents.
Yes, but did you hear about these leaks for the first time from them or one of them? In other words, did they first tell you about that somebody was leaking these documents and you had not heard about these leaks before? Or did you hear about them from somebody else and then you confronted them?
No. The investigating officer informed me that the information they have available is that our documents are being leaked.
And the investigating officer was one of them?
Yeah, I believe, I can't be 100% sure because I'm not sure about the time, but I believe it would have been Colonel Creel. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
To follow up on that question, how big was the team that you had at the time to assist you in your duties as prosecutor of the matter during the time that you were assigned to the Bosasa matter?
Well, I can start from the beginning in 2010. It was me and Colonel Creel. And then later on, I'm not sure in sequence, but I believe that Brigadier Simon, he was retired. He was roped in to assist Colonel Creel. And at a later point, Lieutenant Colonel Smith was added to the team, and then Colonel Creel retired. Brigadier Simon's contract was not renewed, and the only remaining investigating officer at that point was Lieutenant Colonel Smith.
I see that in that email you say that in the last paragraph you inform Mr. Mahakala that the investigation is still in progress. Now, am I correct that this email and the charge sheet, draft charge sheet to which you refer, were based on the SIU report relating to Bosasa?
Yes, our investigation started from the SIU report.
Yes, that's what I want you to explain. So after the SIU report had been handed over to the NPA,
yes,
the NPA decided that there should be another investigation.
Yeah, we embarked on our own investigation.
Yes.
With the SIU report forming the background,
Yes.
and giving us the direction,
Yes.
of which of our investigation,
Yes.
pointing us in the right direction,
Yes.
on how to proceed with our investigation, what we could uncover as a result of our own investigations.
Would the decision to have your own investigation have been based on what you discovered in studying the SIU report? For example, discovering that there were gaps to be filled and that's why you needed investigation? Or would such an investigation be a routine step after you receive a report from a body such as the SIU?
Normally, the SIU reports are prepared for their own specific purposes, being more akin to civil
Yes.
proceedings.
Yes.
So, in many instances,
Yes.
we won't retake a statement unless it's absolutely necessary.
Yes.
But if there is a good reason to retake a statement,
Yes.
then we will do so.
But in other words, but you would do so to fill whatever gaps you feel there are in such a report for your purposes,
Yes.
seeing that it wasn't necessary, it might not have been prepared for you as such, but for themselves.
The standard of the investigation might not meet the criminal standard.
Yes, yes. So that's where you would like to do further investigation to make sure that when you act, when you bring charges, you are satisfied that the evidence you have will meet or does meet the criminal standard.
That's correct.
That's the reasoning behind the further investigation.
Yeah, it might also be, as you've indicated, that there might be gaps
Yes,
that we
okay.
want to fill in because we must connect the dots.
Yes, yes. But
Yeah.
it's not an unusual thing for the NPA to conduct its own investigation when another body has done a report, an investigation, and prepared a report.
It's not unusual.
Yes, okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you. You will note at the top of, still on the same page, which is page 117 of your affidavit,
Yeah.
you will note at the top in printed form is the number 017514.
Yes, Chair.
Can you please explain to the Chair the significance of that number?
Chair, earlier I was asked to give the date on which I was removed from this investigation. Now that date being the 29th of February 2016. After that date, I was asked to give a handover report. I said, but I've got documents that I can hand over that gives a chronological sequence of events, similar to this 149 list. That sort of is a very, very good summary of the facts that we had at hand at that time. But the problem was that my notes was extensive. I had been working on the case since February 2010. Because at that time, in 2013, I was very concerned about our docket security. I was very concerned about our document security. We had heard that Bosasa destroyed servers during the time of the SIU investigation. So, document security, docket security, and access to our documents was a priority to me. In fact, I requested the investigating officer to prepare scanned documents so that I would not work on the originals. He complied with my request and provided me with colored scans. I told him that if I needed the document, that I would request him to bring the original, should it be that the scanned document that I'm working on not be sufficient for my purposes. But in general, I worked on scanned documents or photocopies of scanned records that were provided to me. So it's very difficult in an investigation of this dimension to give instructions to the investigating officer in written format, because I would have a stack of instructions and it takes a lot of time to type up the instructions. So I had a working relationship with the investigating officer where I would, on the original documents, I would make notes for him. And then I would hand over the documents and he would comply with my request, sort out my problems that I had, and obtain the necessary statements should it be required. Sometimes the problem or the notes that I made was just a misunderstanding, and he could clarify that to me in a verbal, in a conversation with me. So obviously we did not take that any further. But as a result of the way that I worked, my documents was had a big volume. So when I was taken off the case, I was also concerned about my notes. The next prosecuting team had asked for a handover report. I said to them, look at my summary of events, and what I will do is my notes, my working papers, that I would number the working papers and I would prepare an index and request them to sign for my working papers. And then I asked them if they could keep my working papers secure. So I started numbering my documents, and this specific document, if you look at the number, it's 017514. It means that this document is document 17,514. The final number was about 22,000 pages, and there were another, say, 40 or so files that I did not number. But I kept this hard copy of this document with this number 017514. And when they showed me Mr. Agrizi's documents, I recovered this specific email to show that the 3 attachments that's in Mr. Agrizi's file actually comprise a single set of documents. That's the purpose why I want this document to be placed before the Commission, because it explains not only the background, but also the fact that these documents fit together.
Yes, no, thank you very much.
Is it correct then that you are the author of the 3 attachments which were attached to this email?
Correct?
Can I then be, in fact, for the record, and before we move on to the next page, I just wish to place on record that the red marking over the words "may differ substantially" was erroneously to my doing.
Please just repeat that.
I'm just placing...
The 3 words that are read at page 117?
Yes, I erroneously made that particular marking, and it's not that of the witness.
Okay, no, that's fine. The attachments, you talk about 3 attachments to that email, isn't it?
Correct, Chair.
Where are those, where do I find those attachments?
Chair, if you refer to skip one page, 118, 119.
Or the ones that, in respect of whom you were reading the headings earlier on?
Yes.
Proposed racketeering, and you read, I think, about 3 of them.
Yes, the headings, if you look at the top,
yes.
Just below the markings, you would see there's headings there.
Yes,
and they correspond, they might not fully correspond with the email header, because obviously I couldn't print the whole header into the name of the attachment. So the name of the attachment is just an indication of what the document was all about.
And does the document that appears between your email at page 117 and the document starting at page 119, does that document, it looks like it's an email from you to Mr. Mahakala, dated 8 August 2013. Was it also attached to the email at 117?
Okay, I can just explain the document that I originally handed up.
Yeah.
This MCDK 117. That was a hard copy. So at the time when I sent off these documents, just remember that I was seriously concerned about document security at the time. So in order for me to later have a recollection of when I informed my superior that we've got a problem, I printed a copy of the email, and I kept that hard copy. And when the Commission presented the documents to me, I recognized the fact that these 3 documents are the attachments to my email. I then requested the IT department of the Department of Justice to come to my office and use Mimecast to check my old emails. And they recovered this document that is marked MCDK 118. So you would see there the document date at the top below, on top of that line, it's dated Monday, March 25th, 2019 at 9:29 a.m. That was when the IT guy was at my office recovering the email. But the contents of the email, below the line is the contents of the email. It's the same document. It's got the same contents as my document MCDK 117.
Oh, it is the same document.
Yes, it's just, this is just a proof that the electronic document is still available on the NPA system, and that we have a copy of it.
Okay. No, that's fine. Thank you.
If I can then take you to page 119,
Thank you, I've got that.
which continues until page 129.
Yes?
And if you can then look at page, oh sorry, just for the record purposes, this particular document is marked proposed memorandum, is that correct?
Yes,
And it's dated 8 August 2013 in the header above.
exactly.
If I could then take you to page 130
Yes,
of the same bundle, which continues until page 144.
yes,
And it appears to be a multicolored document.
yes,
Okay? It is headed in the Regional Court for the Gauteng Division held at Pretoria, and it appears to be from the next page, which is page 131.
Oh, I'm sorry, on what page is it written in the region, in the whatever court? Where are you reading from?
Page 130.
I think you said it's one document, but I don't think so. It looks like the document starting at page 119 goes up to the top of page 128, and then there is Mr. Cox's name, and then something else starts, which may have maybe belonging together, but looks like there is a memo, and then there's a provisional draft authorization. I don't know, later on I think you find the provisional draft charge sheet at page 130. Am I right? Or do I misunderstand something?
Maybe.
That is not one same document throughout, is it?
No, Chair. The documents which start at page 119, which
Yes.
runs until the end of this bundle, at page 172, comprises of 3 documents.
It's one document accommodating a number of things. One being a memo, another being a charge sheet, a draft charge sheet, and maybe something else. Is that right?
If I've
Or
understood.
maybe the author will know.
Yes. If I could
Yes,
ask-
are we dealing with
Chair-
one document from page 119, or is it, it is one document but addressing different things?
Look, the attachments to that email dated the 8th of August 2013
Yes,
gives 3 attachments.
okay.
Okay, so the
The first one starting at 119?
first one starts at 119 and it goes up until page 129. That is the proposed racketeering memorandum. At the
Okay.
top of the document, in the
Yes.
header, it would say proposed racketeering memorandum, and it gives the date 8 August 2013, as well as the note confidential document.
Yes, okay.
So the next attachment would be, it's got the reference on page 117 is provisional draft charge sheet, Bosasa racketeering doc.
Yes,
So on page 130, that's the provisional draft charge sheet racketeering.
yes,
If you, Chair, if you look at the heading there,
yes, I
it
can
says
see that.
provisional draft charge sheet racketeering as per the instruction of the acting national director
Yes.
of public prosecutions,
Yes.
confidential, subject to amendments, investigations still in progress, and the date 8 August
Yes.
2013. That
Yes.
identifies the second attachment.
Yes, okay.
And that second attachment runs up until page 144.
Yes,
And then on page 145, up until the end of the bundle, 172, the heading there is, in the email, is provisional list of 149 racketeering activities, POC standing for Patrick O'Connell Gillingham, and LMT, and it's a document. So if you look on the top on page MCDK 145, the header information there is more comprehensive than the other two documents, but it says provisional list of racketeering activities, POC Gillingham plus LMT, and then it says note, this list is still incomplete and subject to amendments, draft document only, confidential, for attention of Advocate Mergwebi, stroke Advocate Mosing, and the Acting National Director of Public Prosecutions only, with the date 8 August 2013.
Okay, thank you.
If we may then start off with the first document, which is titled Proposed Memorandum, at page 119.
Yes.
If I can ask you to compare that document to the documents in the Agritsi bundle at page AA 502.
That's Exhibit S1.
Yes, Chair.
Chair,
Yes.
I have compared page 119 with page 502. I believe they are identical,
Thank you.
except for the fact that the original document that was transmitted had highlighted information in yellow.
Yes.
And if you look on the Agritsi document, page 502, paragraph 1 would say, on my document would say, during 2009, in brackets, obtain the exact date. Now, the date, 2009, is highlighted in yellow.
Yes, I think one can see that at page 502, the date 2009 in the first line, and the date 2006, 3 lines down the page, and another 2006 there. One can tell that they were highlighted, and in your document they are highlighted in yellow.
Yes.
And they are not in yellow at page 502, but one can see that they were highlighted.
Yes, it's, my conclusion from this is that the Agritsi document AA 502 was a photocopy of the highlighted document.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for the record, you studied the entire document in the Agritsi bundle, and that is from page 502 to 511. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. If I can ask you to turn back to your bundle.
And they are identical. You just said, or you didn't say earlier on, or not really?
I think there's one page where there's a slight difference.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
She will draw your attention to it.
Yeah.
Okay. If I can ask you to, on page 119 of your bundle,
Yeah.
just identify what the purpose of the report was as it's referenced in the second last paragraph on that page. If you could read that into the record, please.
The purpose of this report is to refer in terms of section 4 in brackets 1D of the Act, the evidence gathered by the SIU relative to the above mentioned contract, which, comma, in its view, comma, points to the commission of an offence by Bosasa and its affiliates and the persons mentioned in this report to the Acting National Director of Public Prosecutions. I just see now I made a mistake. I said NDPP. That should have, the abbreviation there should have been ANDPP. And further to advise, there's also a spelling error, the DCS in terms of section 5.7 of the Act, that the evidence gathered by the SIU justifies the institution of legal proceedings by it against Bosasa and its affiliates and the persons mentioned in the report.
Thank you.
And the acting National Director of Public Prosecutions at that time was who?
It was Advocate Jiba.
Okay, and DCS is a reference to the Department of Correctional Services?
That is correct.
Okay.
If I can refer the Chair to page MCDK 129.
Yes.
The court will, the Chair will see there at the bottom of the page,
Yes.
below the list of names, 27 at the bottom. There I prepared the document and I've typed I, Nomkobu Jiba,
Yes.
Acting National Director of Public Prosecutions.
Yes.
So that was the, and at the bottom also the place for the signature refers to
Yes.
Acting National Director of Public Prosecutions.
Yes.
That I believe I can confirm that she was the Acting National Director at that time.
Okay.
Is it correct then that this document was accordingly prepared for the Acting National Director of Public Prosecutions at the time, Nomkobu Jiba?
Yes, it was. I believe that the final recipient of this document would be Advocate Jiba.
Thank you. If I can then take you to the second document quickly, which starts at page 130
Yeah,
of your
I've got that.
bundle. There lists several accused, totaling 27.
Correct, Chair.
For the record, can I ask you to please read the accused listed in this draft provisional draft charge sheet, please, which is dated 8 August 2013.
Okay, the list starts, the first person that I anticipated would be accused in the matter would be Patrick O'Connell Gillingham, accused number 1. Chair, sometimes I changed the names, the sequence of the names around. In this specific document, I was still intending to make Mr. Gillingham my accused number 1. Accused number 2 was Linda Morris Mti. Accused number 3 would have been Mr. Angelo Agrizzi. Accused number 4 would have been Mr. William Daniel Mansell. Accused number 5 would have been Mr. Rian Rikele Uxma.
I'm sorry, Ms. September, I don't know if there's any significance in her mentioning who would be accused number what, other than just mentioning the persons and the entities.
As it pleases.
Yeah, maybe you can just read the names of all the people that, or persons or entities that you intended to
Okay,
charge.
I've stopped with Mr. Jurgen George Smith. The next one would be Gavin Joseph Watson. And one below that, Carlos Yao de Costa M. Bonifacio. Andries Johannes J. van Tonder. Frans Hendrik Stein Foster. Then we start with the entities. Bosasa Operations Pty Limited. Sondolu IT Pty Limited. Bezulu Fencing Pty Limited. On the next page, Consilium Property CC. Consilium Business Consultants Pty Limited. Consilium Management Services Pty Limited. Autumn Storm Investments 119 Pty Limited. Rikele Construction BK, that's the Afrikaans abbreviation for CK. RRH Property Development Pty Limited. Uxma Brews BK, the Bonki Trading CC, Rand Bricks Pty Limited, Rapid Trade 273 Pty Limited, the Raga Trust, Uxma Family Trust, Grandi 4 Property Trust, and the last one, WD and J Mansell Trading as Grandi 4 Ranches. Chair, I would just like to point out, even though this list entails 27 entities, it must obviously be read with the heading of the document to say that this is provisional, that it is confidential, and that the investigation was still in progress. This is a serious draft document.
Yes.
It was not meant to be final. It was it was provisional, it was subject to amendments.
But it was whoever was listed here that had been taken on the basis of some thought going into what you believed was their role.
Correct, Chair.
It wasn't just a random picking of names.
No, Chair.
And I see that you had intended to charge, to include among the accused, Mr. Gavin Joseph Watson. And you intended to have him at that time as accused number 7.
Yes, Chair.
He was to be included as far as you were concerned at that stage.
Yes, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is it correct that your color used in this particular document accords with the same color used in your previous documents?
Yeah, it's also the indication is that if colors were used, they meant things.
Just for your purposes.
For my purposes.
Yeah.
Can I then just ask you quickly to leave that document open at page 130 and open up the document in the Agrizi bundle at page AA513, which continues to page 527.
Sorry. I've got that.
What is your observation in relation to these two documents?
What page in Exhibit S1?
It is page 513,
Okay,
which continues to page 527.
okay.
The heading of the document is identical. The reference to the regional court in both documents are identical, and the list of suspects on, even though they referred here to as accused, that was just, that's just our paperwork. It goes up until the number 13 on both documents.
Thank you. If I can then take...
I'm sorry, what goes up to number 13?
The suspects.
Is that on page 513 and page 131?
130 and 513.
Or you say they start and end the same way?
Yeah, and they've got, it's
that's
the
what you mean.
same, it's identical, the two documents.
Yes.
Except for the color.
Yes, okay.
But have you satisfied yourself that the entire document that found its way into the hands of Mr. Angelo Agrizi is the same as the document you have?
There's, I believe there's one page, I'm just trying to find it, where there's a line, but I'm not sure if it's on this one or the previous one.
In fact, it is at page, if you can just bear with me, it's at page 164, and we're talking then to the next document.
Okay. Now,
Okay.
these documents are identical, Chair.
Thank you.
Then on the last document, which in your bundle is at page 145,
Yes,
and it continues to page 172.
yes.
Do you have any comments in relation to this document?
Both documents have got the same heading.
If I can just interrupt your word then, for the benefit of comparison, I then ask you to open the page, or rather the document, in the Agrizi bundle file, which starts at page 528, and which then continues to page 555.
Thank you.
Do you have any comments to these two documents?
Chair, I believe that except for the one problem, which I will explain, that these two documents are also identical.
Yes.
The court can also see that on Mr. Agrizi's document, AA528, even though it's a little bit fainter than the the previous document, you can also see that the date 2003, the
Yes.
3-meal system, and the date 10 May 2004 has got that highlighted appearance on the documents, if you copy them.
To address your concern, can I quickly take you to page 164 of your bundle,
I've got that.
which is S12, and compare it to page 547,
Sorry, 5.
547 of the Agritzi bundle.
Yeah.
At the bottom of the page, on your bundle, page 164, there appears to be a line missing as compared to page 547 of the Agritzi bundle. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And if one turns the page over in your bundle to page 165, and
I'm sorry,
similar,
on which page is a line missing? Is it 164 or the page you are going to now?
on page 164,
Yeah. Is that the page on which there is a line missing?
yes, Chair.
Can I,
Through the witness.
Ms.
she
Dicko.
can
can I
clarify.
explain? What I did is, if you look at my page 164,
Yes.
it says in that block, which is printed in green, it says note.
Yes.
Now, that was a note meant for myself or my investigating officer
At the time.
at the time.
Yes.
So what I did is I would type a paragraph, and then there's a function on your computer which you can say, put an outline
Yes.
around that paragraph.
Yes.
That's just to indicate that it's not part of the
Document.
activities, but that it's a note.
So it's just to bring something to your attention.
Yes, exactly.
For later consideration.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what happens if you, what happened here is on my document 164 to 165, it would appear as if I had one spacing too many.
Yes.
And then the bottom line of that block jumped over to the next page, which is 165. But on Mr. Agritzi's document, it would appear as if I corrected that. And the line was on the correct page so that the block was complete.
But on my page 164, your note at the bottom doesn't go up to the next page.
So, no, it's just the line that jumps over to the next page. The full note is there.
When you say line, what the black line that is that goes on the sides and just above the first line of the note. The black line.
Yeah, there's, if I can explain, on my page 164,
Yeah.
the line looks like a U. The black lines look like a U. But the bottom part is cut off. There's nothing there. So it's 3/4 complete.
There is above the note, there is a horizontal line. Is that right? And then on the sides, there are vertical lines, but it's one line.
Yeah.
There is a corner. It's like
Yeah.
it was going to be a square,
Yes, exactly.
but it misses. It's without another horizontal line that should have been at the bottom. Is that right?
Well, actually a rectangle.
A rectangle. Yeah, I was actually thinking about
But you
the
correct,
right word.
the bottom line.
Yes, it was going to be. It looks like it was going to be a rectangle, but what doesn't make it a rectangle is that the bottom part, or the bottom part which would have been a horizontal line, is not there.
Exactly,
But other
Chair.
than that, it has got everything that it would have needed to be a rectangle.
Exactly. And the contents of that page also corresponds with AA 547.
Yes. So what you are saying is that the difference between your page 164 and page 157 in Exhibit S1, which Ms. September has been calling the Agrizi bundle, the difference in regard to that page is that in Exhibit S1, the line that is missing, the horizontal line that is missing beneath your note at page 164 has been put in or is there.
It's there.
Yeah, so it's it's a complete rectangle.
It's now a complete rectangle.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, okay, no,
But
that's fine.
what I assume, and I mean, I will have to investigate that, is that at the time this document was in the process of being emailed.
Yes.
I could have observed that,
Yes.
that rectangle is not complete.
And then you completed it.
And you just delete one line,
Yeah.
and it jumps back and it completes the rectangle.
Yes, okay, okay. Other than that, it's identical.
The
page is
to me,
identical.
It appears to me to be identical.
Yes, okay.
Thank you, Chair. It says, therefore, your evidence that all three of these attachments, or rather documents, which found its way into the hands of Mr. Angelo Agrizi, are identical to the documents that he presented to this commission, save for that one particular difference.
Yes, well, the bottom line is I can confirm it's my documents.
Yes, and you confirm that by, you arrive at that conclusion because after you have been shown documents that you were told were supplied to this commission by Mr. Agrizi, you went to your computer and had a look, and you found documents that are mostly identical to them in your own computer. And those were documents that you knew about because you had prepared them, and either you had sent them yourself to the people who were the addressees, or you had given them to Mr. Mahakala, and he had used them to send them to certain people. That's how you came to the conclusion that they are the same documents that you had either sent to Mr. Mahakala, or you had sent to Mr. Mahakala, or you had sent them to other people who were addressees.
Exactly, Chair.
Yes, and that's the case with each and every one of the documents that you have dealt with in your affidavit.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Despite the repeated warnings and the precautions that you took, the leaking of these documents eventually found its way into the hands of Mr. Angelo Agrizi. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you know how?
Hang on one second, just to make sure. That they found their way into Mr. Agrizi is what you have been told. Otherwise, you have no independent confirmation of that. You just know that these documents came from your computer.
Well, I was shown a set of documents.
Yes.
And I was told by the staff of the commission that these were the documents that Mr. Agrizi presented to the commission.
Yes.
And I was asked if I could identify them.
Yes.
And then I went to my computer, and some I could find independently without assistance.
Yes.
Some I had some assistance to recover.
Yes.
But I can confirm that I'm the author of these documents.
Yes, yes. Now, I just wanted to make sure that the record shouldn't read like you have personal knowledge that they did reach him. It's what you have been told, that he presented them.
Yes, Chair.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Do you know how these documents landed in the hands of Mr. Angelo Agrizi?
No, Chair. I can just say that these were the documents in my file were the documents that left my possession.
Okay. And then can I quickly take you to page 13 of your affidavit? Sorry, page 12 of your affidavit. And
Yes, I've got that.
can you confirm that from paragraphs 47 until paragraph 60,
Yes,
deals with authentication and identification marks in relation to these documents?
yes, I confirm that.
Thank you. And then if I can take you to page 17 of your affidavit,
Yes,
paragraph 65 until paragraph 67 on page 27,
the paragraph.
67 on page 27.
27, 67, yes.
Yes. That those paragraphs deal with the identification and authentication of the Group 1 documents, the Group 2 documents, and the Group 3 documents.
Group 1, Group 1 is from page MCDK 017 to 021. And then Group 2 starts on MCDK 022, and it goes up until
27 at the top.
27 at the top, yes. And then it's Group 3 and Group 4.
Thank you very much. And then lastly, what was the legal status of all of these documents that you've considered, which eventually found itself into the hands of Mr. Angelo Agrizzi?
Do you want her now to speak as a prosecutor as
Okay.
opposed to just a witness?
Yeah, I'll correct my
But-
question.
Well, maybe if that is something she can answer, that's fine. But just have to bear in mind she is just a witness, but she's a prosecutor, of course.
In your
Yes.
if I could perhaps rephrase, in
Yeah.
your knowledge and experience,
Yeah.
what is the status of the documents that you've considered which found itself into the hands of Mr. Angelo Agrizzi?
Well, they were all most of them were preliminary documents or provisional or extracts. And clearly my intention was that this was a work in progress.
They
And
were
I'm-
to be finalized at a later stage.
Yeah, they were all preliminary.
Yeah.
Were they confidential documents?
They were all the ones that they were all confidential in the sense that the NPA's work is confidential. But in addition to the normal confidentiality of our documents, I've added an extra precaution by marking them confidential. That was with the intention that any person who would find himself in possession of these documents would be warned that these are confidential NPA documents and that the Minimum Information Security Act provisions would apply to those documents. That would, if I were to receive a document sent to me marked confidential, it would place an additional burden on me to make sure that I treat these documents with more care than I would normally deal with them if they were not specifically marked confidential.
But there's obviously nobody within the NPA who would have given them to a suspect or one of the suspects or somebody affected by the investigation without knowing that they should not do that. Everyone within the NPA who could have taken them out and given them to for example, a Busasa official would have been knowing that that was wrong,
Definitely.
without having to be told by anybody that this was confidential.
Yes, Chair.
Chair. What is the importance of these documents to a potential accused person?
Well, Chair, if you look at the information contained in these documents, for instance, just the list of possible suspects. I mean, we're busy with an investigation. This is in August 2013. We're still busy with the investigation. That document states that it's provisional, that we're working on it, that it's still in progress. The manner in which my document is drafted indicates that some of the information still needs to be followed up on, or I give notes or instructions to my investigating officer. So clearly this could have harmed the investigation.
Yes.
In your knowledge and experience, was the leakage of these documents random?
No.
Why do you say so?
Well, I drafted many reports, and some of them, if I were to look at them from a legal perspective, would not have helped or not have assisted a suspect. But these documents would definitely have benefited a suspect if he could lay his hands on them, even though they were provisional and even though they were marked draft. Some other documents would have had less value from a person perhaps wanting to prepare a defense to these charges. For instance, I can give an example. If I drafted a document to say that we've obtained 80 statements, it would just say, since the last progress report, another 20 or 30 statements have been obtained, but it wouldn't give a name to the person from whom the statement has been obtained. So what can you really do with that? You can know that the investigation is making progress, but you will not be able to identify the individuals involved. So this is I was really upset when I saw the documents that they presented to us.
And when the documents were shown to you by the personnel from the commission, was that for the first time that you were getting to see that indeed particular documents had been leaked, other than just hearing in general that documents were being leaked?
Yes, I did not. I read the newspaper reports about Mr. Agrizi's testimony, and I know that he handed over certain documents, but
Yes.
the first time I saw them was when they were made available to me.
Okay.
Stated differently, did anyone outside of the National Prosecuting Authority have rights to access these documents?
No, I think it would all have been unlawful.
And then lastly, did you give anyone permission to share your documents with anyone outside of the National Prosecuting Authority for
No.
whatsoever reason?
No.
I have no further questions.
You did say that you did raise your concerns about documents that were being leaked from the NPA.
Yes.
I can't remember whether you said you raised that with Mr. Mohatle or with
Well,
Mr. Mohwebi.
I raised it with Mr. Mohatle, and it's confirmed with the information you find on that email.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you know whether that concern went beyond Mr. Mohatle in terms of the hierarchy at the NPA?
Sir, if Chair, if that email was forwarded to the relevant people who were supposed to have received them, the email speaks for itself. And the attachments was attached to this. I cannot, when it leaves my office, I cannot say if it eventually arrived or the person read the email. But if the person received the email, I'm sure he would have read the message and he would have understood my concerns. I also, at a different time, raised my concerns about other issues with the Acting National Director of Public Prosecutions.
Yes.
I have indicated, we have indicated in my statement that I will perhaps prepare a more
A
fuller affidavit on
Yes.
those issues.
Yes.
And this will obviously link to what I'm
Yes.
saying in this affidavit, but
Yes.
it's not part of this affidavit yet.
Yes. So, as far as you know, was anything ever done to address this concern that you raised about documents from the NPA relating to the Bosasa matter being leaked?
To be honest, Chair, the attitude that I get is that if I mark a document confidential or I mark it secret and I put it in an envelope and I seal that envelope and I want to have it hand-delivered to our head office in Silverton, they tell me that I am too concerned about document security.
That's what was being said at that time, or
No,
is that still?
it was recently said to me.
Is that so?
Yes.
And did that reflect what was being said even then?
The attitude was that I'm sort of crazy
Yes.
and that I am paranoid about my documents, my docket, people having access to my documents.
Every official within the NPA involved with any docket, they should protect its confidentiality.
Yeah, I, as a rule, in commercial matters, if there's a risk in ordinary prosecutions, the risk is probably 10 times worse in commercial matters. That's why, as a rule, I don't work with original documents because of the risk of them going missing. And I think if you ask any commercial prosecutor, they would tell you the same because they're aware of that risk.
And after your experience, or after you understood that some documents relating to the Bosasa matter were being leaked, did you begin to take greater precautionary measures in regard to the security or confidentiality of dockets, or,
Yes.
or in other words, did that increase your concern in terms of the measures you were taking as opposed to before you had this experience?
Yes, Jay.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Anything arising?
Unless the
Okay.
Chair has any further questions,
Yeah.
we have no further questions for this witness.
Okay, right. And you will remember to attend to a supplementary affidavit.
Yes, Chair.
And I think somebody must just go through everything and make sure that at least if one reads the supplementary affidavit, it will direct one to the relevant document or annexure that is referred to in any particular paragraph. So it's going to be easy to find those documents or annexures.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cook, but I must just ask, the further affidavit that you are working on or are about to start working on, what's your estimate of when it might be available to the Commission? Because I get the impression it may be very important to the Commission.
Chair, the problem I have is the following. I was involved in the case for approximately 6 years. I've got, as I indicated, I've got the notes that's 22,000 pages. My memory, independent memory of these events is not good anymore. So I would not like to convey information to the Commission that might...
That might not be correct.
That might not be correct. So
Yes.
I'm looking for the documents
Yes.
that would support what I say in my statement.
Yes, yes.
So that is why it's going to take a little bit of time for me to prepare it, because I feel it's my duty, not only as a prosecutor,
Yes.
but also as a citizen of this country,
Yes, yes.
to assist the Commission.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I want to do that to the best of my ability.
Yes.
And
yes.
if that takes a little bit of time, I'm sure the Commission will bear with me
Yes.
for me to just
Yes.
prepare that. I will try and do it as soon as I can and finalize it.
Yes. No, that's fine. And if there is anywhere where the Commission's investigators or the Commission's legal team can be of assistance, please feel free to talk to them, and they will willingly assist.
Thanks, Chair.
Yes. But thank you very much for coming to give evidence, and thank you very much also for appreciating the need to give support and assistance to this Commission by planning to work on the further affidavit that you are going to work on. I really appreciate that.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. You are excused.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We have come to the end of today's proceedings. We are not going to have a sitting tomorrow, nor will we have a sitting on Thursday, but we will have a sitting on Friday. And we will start at 10 o'clock. Mr. Pretorius, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we already previously announced who will give evidence on Friday, isn't it, in the past?
We haven't, to my recollection, announced the name, but...
I thought when we had the reason to adjourn, I thought we mentioned, but it maybe we shouldn't mention again.
If anyone curious can look into the transcript.
We will have a sitting on Friday, and there will be a witness who will give evidence. I think that we may have mentioned, but if we didn't, we are not going to do so now. But if we did mention and people have got good memories, that's fine.
Thank you, Chair.
We'll adjourn then until Friday.
Thank you, Chair.
We adjourn.